Well, you're watching TVC News at 6 p.m. and here's how we monitor developments in the first 100 days of President Bola Tinubu, who has now withdrawn the nomination of Mariam Shetty, a nominee from Kano State, replacing her with Mariga Mahmood. Senate President Godswill Akpabio made this known during plenary on Friday following a letter from Mr. President. No reason was given for the female nominee's replacement.
In compliance with the provisions of Section 147, subsection 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, and sequel to my earlier correspondence dated the 2nd day of August 2023, I have resolved to withdraw the nomination of Dr. Mariam Shetty. Furthermore, I am pleased to nominate Dr. Mariga Mahmood Bonguro and Mr. Festus Keyamo San for consideration and, if deemed fit, confirmed by the Senate as ministers.
Well, President Tinubu also nominated a former spokesperson for his presidential campaign, Festus Keyamo, as a ministerial nominee from Delta State, bringing the number now to unprecedented 48 ministers designate. It's day 67 of President Bola Tinubu's presidency, and we're monitoring closely developments in his first 100 days in office. Thanks for joining us, everyone. You can share your comments in real time on Twitter using the hashtag #first100days. Remember to tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Okunto. The Senate has commenced the screening of additional 19 ministerial nominees. Mariga Mahmood now replaces Mariam Shetty, a nominee from Kano, and former spokesperson of APC presidential campaign, Festus Keyamo, now joins the ministerial nominees, making it 48 ministers to be appointed by the president so far. After the screening and confirmation by the Red Chamber, we expect them to resume office as substantive ministers of the Federal Republic. But we have reactions already from some of the new nominees. This is how Festus Keyamo, senior advocate of Nigeria, responded to news of his nomination. He says he's a miracle working God. And also Dr. Mariam Shetty has responded to his replacement, the news that came in earlier today. She says, I was just informed now at today's plenary session that President Bola Tinubu has withdrawn my ministerial nomination, replacing me with Dr. Mariga Mahmood. She says, I'm grateful and thankful for any decision from you, my president. And then she goes on to say that Dr. Mariga was a close friend and classmate since teenage age. She says, we attended Kano Foundation School and later to Basiru University in Kano. We shared Faculty of Medical Sciences and took some courses together. I read physiotherapy while Mahmood read medicine and surgery. Looks like Dr. Shetty is taking the news of our replacement very well. Also, President Bola Tinubu has charged members of the All Progressives Congress on party unity in order to achieve the renewed hope agenda of his administration. The president said this at the National Executive Committee meeting of the party, which held yesterday, where former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje emerged as the new national chairman of the party and former Senate spokesperson Ajibola Basiru as national secretary. With Abdullahi Ganduje coming from the Northwest, replacing the former national chairman Abdullahi Adamu, who is from North Central. There's a lot of talks and reaction as to how that feeds into, the arrangement within the party. Is the APC going to have a seamless leadership without any challenges in the next coming days, the months or even years, with Abdullahi Ganduje in the steering of leadership? That's a big question we'll see answer in the coming days. I'm joined by National Publicity Secretary of the APC on the program, but let's bring you an update on what transpired yesterday in Abuja.
on the appointment and the election of His Excellency Abdullahi Ganduje as the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and Senator Basiru Ajibola.
The new APC National Chairman, Abdullahi Ganduje, is not a stranger to politics, having been a member of the APC since its formation stage in 2013. The decision by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to settle for Abdullahi Ganduje may not be unconnected with his desire to have someone who is on the same page with him as the national chairman of the party.
There's always an opportunity in any adversity if you look at it carefully. The party is in your hand, but let's redirect this party. Let's show the rest of the country that we are a party united for a purpose, and that purpose, development, progress, and prosperity, will not forgive us if we fear of that path.
Out with the old, in came the new. The 6th APC chairman takes the oath of office.
I will devote myself to the service.
Abdullahi Ganduje, the new national chairman of the APC, in his acceptance speech, promises to promote party unity and internal democracy.
We must unite our members to achieve support for our government to respond adequately, urgently, and assertively.
Chairman of the APC Governors Forum, Hope Uzodinma, as a matter to note, placed a vote of confidence on INEC and the outcome of the 2023 presidential election.
This is our country. We must take our destiny in our hands, and we control the government today by the grace of God and the mandate of our people.
With a strong-willed president seeking to reshape the party to be a true progressive machinery, Ganduje will be challenged in many ways than one, both by the new and old bloc as the administration settles down for business. Habida Lawal, TVC News, Abuja.
We're staying with developments within the ruling party with the emergence of Abdullahi Ganduje as national chairman of the APC. Joining me now is National Publicity Secretary of the party, Felix Morka. Mr. Morka, thank you for joining us on the program. Let's begin with how the APC arrived at Ganduje's chairmanship.
Thank you very much. As you may know, with the resignation of our former national chairman and the former national secretary, the deputy national chairman North, Senator Abu Kyari, took charge as the acting national chairman, while Barrister Festus Fanta took charge as the acting national secretary. Both, rapidly and swiftly, as the Constitution dictated. But yes, as you also know, the next meeting had been pending. We had in fact scheduled it, but had to postpone because of Mr. President's very heavy schedule. So that meeting was convened yesterday, at which NEC, the National Executive Committee of our party, which is the highest decision-making organ of the party outside of the National Convention, met yesterday to consider the question of replacement of both senior officers of our party. And yes, former Governor Ganduje was nominated as chairman, while Senator Ajibola was nominated as national secretary, and both were elected by the NEC of our party. Now, let me just quickly add that under our constitution, the NEC has the authority to act for and on behalf of the National Convention in between conventions, so that certain matters like this question of replacement that cannot wait until the next convention, say in the next 3 years, NEC is fully authorized to exercise the powers of the convention in the meantime.
I'm sure you followed the conversation on many media platforms about the expectation that former Governor Ganduje's name would make the ministerial list. But some are now saying this appointment, or call it an election, is compensation for the role he played before and during the presidential election in support of Mr. President. Is that correct?
Dr. Ganduje is a citizen of this country. He has been in public service for well over 40 years. He's served at all levels, at the local government, the state, with different agencies, as deputy governor, as governor. He comes with a high load of experience. Mr. President has the prerogative to appoint his ministers. He has made his decisions and is still in that process. The emergence of Dr. Ganduje is based, in my understanding, principally because of his wealth of experience, because at this stage in the life of the party, we need somebody, a mature mind, who has contact with some level of influence, who can, gain the respect and the trust of, leaders of the party, members of the party across the board. So Dr. Ganduje brings, this special set of experience and skills and understanding of the party, for that matter, to the new job that he's been given by the party.
Talking about his capacity to succeed where others failed, talk to us about how the general perception of him among many Nigerians will impact on the party's brand identity.
Look, anybody in public life has, admirers, and they also have, critics. There's no one in public life who has, only admirers. That would be very unusual. So Dr. Ganduje is not different. There are those who admire him who have enormous respect for his accomplishments, and there may be those who also, have reason to be critical of him. But all of that is not important. He's been given an assignment. He just finished 2 terms as governor in his state, and now that he's chairman of the party, we are expecting that he's going to reset the agenda for the party. And he made that point when he gave his acceptance speech. He made clear that it's coming to help to reposition the party, to help to grow the party, reconcile those who may not be on the same page in the party, but also create the intellectual wing to deepen understanding of the party's values and principles and ideology. So in the coming weeks and months and years, we're very excited that under his leadership, we will be breaking new grounds. By the way, I must say that it is remarkable the way APC has managed this transition. This is not the way some of the opposition parties who are very loud-mouthed, for that matter, have handled their own issues. We have gone from the resignations to yesterday, where we have installed a chairman without any rancor in a very seamless process of constitutional implementation.
It's interesting the way you put it, but the APC itself has had its, a season of challenges. Some would say the job of the national chairman of your party is perhaps one of the toughest jobs. Former Governor Oshomole's office was cut short 2 years into his tenure, and Senator Abdullahi Adamu was chairman barely 1 year before the controversial resignation. I'm wondering why you think it's difficult for successive chairmen of your party to successfully complete their tenures.
Look, we're a young party. We just celebrated our 10 years as a party. We're not as old as some of the main opposition party, the PDP. But in 10 years, we've made remarkable strides. What you refer to are, problems that are associated with, growth, with building the party. Now, don't forget that our very first outing, less than 2 years after we were, incorporated, so to speak, we won the presidential election. We just came on the block and we won that election. We went ahead to win the next election and to win this recent election. Now, in all of that, process, you can imagine. And by the way, we are a party of over 40 million members. So it's a massive party, the largest in Africa. So governing such a ruling party, it's not, a piece of cake. But what is important is not, the issues you mentioned. Is the grace with which we have managed them. And this latest, successful transition in our leadership again speaks to the core commitment of members of our party to put the party first, to ensure that, whatever, issues or disagreements that may happen, and will happen naturally, because we're all human beings. A party is a mechanism. People come together voluntarily to set up a party. You are bound to have conflicts. It's all about interest, negotiation, agreement, disagreements. But we are showing and setting the pace for how party governance is conducted.
Talking about disagreement, some party members, as we speak, aren't quite pleased with, the zoning arrangement with the current national chairman. They've described the decision of NEC to appoint, for instance, a same-faith national chairman and national secretary, according to them, as terribly insensitive. According to them, one of the consistent demands was that, the former chairman was going to be replaced with a Christian from the North Central. How do you react to that?
Look, we are aware of all of the debates, and, each side of the discussion, people have valid, arguments to make in support of their perspectives. But, at the end of the day, as a party, yesterday, the organ of the party that is authorized, vested with the responsibility and the powers to make that decision, has made that decision, which we're discussing. And, my appeal to our members who may not, think that was probably the best decision, as good party men and women, we are called upon to just take a deep breath and, come back to the table. This is, party governance is an unfinished business. We will continue to do the best we can. Mr. President, who is the leader of the party, spoke eloquently yesterday and said, look, he thanked the party for the job done so far, but also charged all of us, the party leadership from the top to the bottom, to continue to work for Nigeria. And I think that under this new leadership of Dr. Ganduje, you're going to see the party take on more responsibility in its engagement with the executive branch to ensure that the commitments made to our people are actually executed to the best of the ability of the government.
We'll get back to the capacity and ability of the current leadership to steer, the affairs of the party. But it's hard to tell what happened to the previous leadership that resigned midway into their tenure. NEC, we understand, approved the appointment of an external auditor yesterday to probe the party's finances. Is this giving credence to some reports that the former chairman and secretary were asked to resign because of allegations of financial mismanagement leveled against them?
No, certainly it's not an indication and doesn't give any credence, to that suggestion. Now, under our constitution, only NEC has the powers to appoint auditors to audit the party. End of story. That's what it is. Anyone can pick up the constitution and actually take a look. That's the National Working Committee, of which I'm a member, of which the chairman is leader, does not have the authority to appoint auditors. Because keep in mind, the National Working Committee is almost like the implementing branch, the executive branch of the party that makes the day-to-day decisions and does, expenditures. So as you can imagine, a higher body like the NEC is authorized by the Constitution to appoint auditors. So that's a routine, exercise of the powers of NEC. Because the NWC...
Mr. Morka, let me just butt in very quickly. How does the party respond to, the perception out there that these former leaders were actually forced to resign, and perhaps there is something the APC is hiding as to the reason for the abrupt end to their tenure?
No. In the letters of resignation signed by both gentlemen, former leaders, they made it clear they resigned voluntarily. And I think that's the point I was trying to underscore earlier, that we have been lucky to have leaders who put the interest of the party first, where it appears as though their role does not or no longer promotes the best interest of the party for whatever reason. They have showed that example to voluntarily step aside so the party can actually move forward and continue to strive and achieve its objectives. That's my understanding of what happened. So I wouldn't give any credence to any of the rumors or speculations that are out there.
So what are the expectations, for the former Kano State governor, who himself has issues back at home, where you consider the division within your party in Kano and how it led to the APC losing the governorship election in that part? What are the, objectives for this new leadership to bring together a party that seems sharply divided?
No, as I said earlier, one of the major I think, tasks before this new chairman and the end of this year under the leadership of the new chairman is to, make very valiant efforts to reconcile the party, not just in Kano, but, everywhere else where we have, tensions or disagreements or outstanding, challenges. That is the first order of business, is to bring the party together and then to give proper direction to guide the our party going forward. Now, again, I will stress that disagreements and conflicts amongst members of the party at whatever level are all natural. They're not new. That is, it's to be expected. A party is out there to contest and elections and to compete for power. And where you compete for power, whether internally or externally, you're bound to generate tensions. You do primaries, for instance, 3 people or 4 people compete. All 4 of them have expectations, to win. They believe that they have, what it takes to win. But ultimately, one person actually, has to win. So the other 3 or 4 or whatever number they are, must then, I think in line with the party tradition and expectation, begin to then reconcile their own personal ambitions and aspirations to the best interests of the party. That's where often you have all the disagreements, because people are struggling and competing for one thing or the other. It's not as if there's anything intrinsic about the party that is creating any tensions. It's just the normal expression of ambitions and interests and that conflict and how you balance it. But I think that under this new leadership, we expect that you're going to see an uptake in that engagement to bring people,
all right,
the pitch.
Indeed, Mr. Morka. Let's just wrap it here. So a couple of governorship elections are scheduled to hold later this year. But in Bayelsa and Kogi, precisely, there are concerns about, the candidates that emerged from your party. Would you say that that's going to be a hard nut to crack? And what are your expectations in that regard?
We had our primaries and our candidates for those elections emerged. The party is throwing its weight fully behind our candidates in all of the off-season elections that are upcoming. And we're going to work hard to win those elections. So all of our candidates enjoy the full support of our party across the board.
And you're saying that will it be easier to win elections now that you fresh from the presidential election, and right now, given the outcry against some of the policies of government, Labour just relaxed a 24-hour protest, in reaction to the removal of full subsidy and the unification of interest rates. How difficult do you think this time is for the APC?
Well, look, no election is ever easy. The presidential election was conducted under very trying circumstances with, all of the policies of the, central bank, the cash trap, the whole fuel, crisis at the time. But, in spite of all of those challenges, we won that election, free and clear. So we become accustomed now to, dealing with this sort of, challenges. And what you're discussing, the policy of the government, of Mr. President, removing subsidy on fuel, is one that Nigerians are going to celebrate in time. I think that, yes, it's understandable that in the short term, the pains are quite enormous on our people, and they have a right to, express themselves. But I think that ultimately, this government means well and is committed to, taking advantage of the opportunities that the first subsidy removal is brought.
Indeed.
To re-engineer and reinvent the provision of services
right.
and make opportunities for people.
It's all eyes on the APC now. Nigerians are counting on your party to fulfill its promises during the election, and we wish you all the best. Felix Morka, as National Publicity Secretary of the APC, thank you for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Earlier today, President Tinubu replaced Dr. Mariam Shetty's name on the ministerial nomination list with that of Dr. Mahmoud. Now, Dr. Shetty has reacted to that. According to her, she says, she says, I was just informed now at today's plenary session that President Tinubu has withdrawn my ministerial nomination and replaced with Dr. Mahmoud. I'm grateful and thankful for any decision from you, my president. And then she goes on to say, Dr. Maria Meriga was my close friend and classmate since teenage age. We attended Kano Foundation School and later to Basiru University, Kano. We shared Faculty of Medical Sciences and took some courses together. I read physiotherapy while Mahmoud read medicine and surgery. Well, that's the update for that. We also shared reaction from Festus Keyamo earlier, who went on to sing praises. He's a miracle working God. He's a miracle working God. He's the Alpha and Omega, and he's a miracle working God. His name was added to the list today, and then Mr. President now has 48 on the number of that ministerial list, the highest since the beginning of the Fourth Republic. And there are lots to talk about as to what the role of these individuals will be in the coming days. But that's our show for today. Watch a repeat at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.